Hey guys, Lancel here. This is another part of the UI Secrets workshop, and today we are going to learn all about action bars and how to make them 300% better and less confusing. So right here you see kind of the default action bar setup. You've got a bottom left, two top bars, and two right bars. And you've got this awkward key binding setup where it's just a huge ass list, and where is it? Oh yeah, all this stuff. It's a huge ass list, and you have to go hunt and pick and click and assign the hotkey and all that stuff. And that's very annoying. So we don't want to do that anymore. We want things to be easier and more straightforward. So first thing is I want to teach you about what the paging system is. The game has a paging system when it comes to the action bars. For example, when you change stances, it will page to a different bar. When you change stances, it will page to a different bar. Or if you click on these little arrows things, it will also page to a different bar. So, for example, this bar down here, this main bar in between the griffins next to your menu, this is bar number 1. Okay, and bar number 1 is a container for 4 different pages. Like you saw, it's 3 different pages for stances and also another page for when I click on this little arrow thing between 1 and 2. So that's 4 there, and then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and I think 2 are unused. Yeah, no, that's correct. So that's the paging system, and there's 10 different action bars. Okay. So the best, in my opinion, add-on to handle action bars is Dominos. It is the most customizable, in my opinion, and the most powerful and straightforward. And you can do a whole crap ton of cool stuff with it. So you can go to curse.com/add-on/wow/Dominos, and also while you're there, go ahead and pick up Masque, MASQUE. But we'll go over Masque later. When you do download Dominos, it's going to be several different folders. You don't need all of them enabled. For example, Dominos buff is very laggy. It's very inefficient. If you're a caster, maybe you want to enable Dominos cast for the cast bar. Definitely want Dominos config, and Dominos roll is nice. If you're a shaman, you can pick up Dominos totems, and also Dominos XP for your experience bar. All this stuff will come with the add-on, but you don't need to enable all of it. So let's take a look at how this looks out of the box. Alright. So you've got all these action bars stacked up like this. Obviously we're not going to play like this, so we're going to kind of configure and organize this, and I'm going to teach you all the different things that you can do with Dominos. Okay, and I've got a single button assigned to each bar just to make things a little bit easier to understand and less confusing. So to open up the config, you can type /Dominos like so, or you can go into your interface add-ons and it's right there. It does have a profile system, so you can switch between different profiles based on which character you're using or what class. It's very nice. A couple main options here. Sticky bars, go ahead and turn that off. Unless you're stacking bars on top of each other. You can choose to show macro or hotkey text, or show tooltips. And you can also choose which action bar your vehicle possess will go to. Vehicle possess is like, let's say you get into a demolisher and your demolisher abilities will go into that action bar, and I just choose one. Okay. So the first thing we do is hit configure bars, and we get to see the 10 different action bars that the game has. And there's 12 buttons each for a total of 120 positions. The first thing I want to do is clean up this a little bit and move some stuff out of the way. So this is your roll bar. This is where your need or greed stuff will go. Vehicle leave button, extra action button, just move those to the side for now. I don't have a pet. Class bar, move up here for now. Menu bar, bags bar, we don't really need to see these right now, especially the bags bar. To hide a bar, if you don't want to see it ever, just press in your mouse wheel and it will go away. And it gives you instructions there, middle click or shift right click to show. And I'm just showing and hiding this right here. Another thing you can do is just click on it, move it around, obviously. So I'm just going to hide this and drag this out of the way for now. Menu bar. You can choose to hide this, but not everyone has hotkeys for every single one of the menu bars. So what we can do is we can change how big it is and move it out of the way. So for example, scale, you can make it bigger or larger. I'm going to set it to 80 for now. You can change the orientation. So if you don't want one row, 12 columns, you can do 2 columns with 6 rows in it. You can also change how far the buttons are spaced apart, like so. There's also some advanced options in here, don't really worry about it. Padding is the space around the action bar itself for sticky bars, but I have that disabled, so I'm just not going to bother with it. Oh, it also it just changes the margin pretty much. I'm going to set that to none and just kind of squish that in there. Let's go. Let's go with that. Okay. So what do we do with these 10 bars here? Well, let's see. Let's just kind of move these around for now. Let's focus on, move these out of the way. Like so. We'll deal with these later. Let's focus on bar number 1. Alright, this will be my main action bar. So I've decided I don't want 1 row 12 columns. I want 3 rows by 4 columns, like so. And I want to drag this down here in the center. Also, I want to retain the kind of functionality that the default UI has, where a single bar can contain other bars, like we saw earlier, through the paging system. So, for example, I want bar number 1 to potentially contain itself as well as bars 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we have to figure out what, based on what conditions, what the bar state will be in. And this is the paging system that I was talking about earlier. So I have my action bar 1 settings up here, and to get that you just right click on it. And you see I've changed my orientation. Under this menu here you will go to Warrior Paging System. Okay, so right now how it's set up is when it's in battle stance it will show bar 7. So lo and behold, I am in battle stance and it is showing bar number 7, which is all over powers, and it's basically pulling the information from bar 7 and sticking it into this container bar 1. If I were in defensive stance, it would go to bar 8, which is my food, and if I were in berserker stance, it would go to bar 9, which would be my bandages. So let's just go ahead and see if that's working properly. You know, obviously it is, like so. Every time I change stances, it's going to change the appropriate bar that it's assigned to display. Alright, well, let's say I don't want it to show 7, 8, and 9 when I change stances. I want it to show 1, 2, and 3, because that's more organized. Okay. So, alright, so I'm in 3, it's showing bar number 3. And 2 is showing bar number 2. 1, it's showing some weird shit. Let's make this. Well, I mean, this is bar number 1 itself. This is something that I didn't mess with earlier, so it's showing some of my old buttons here. Let's just get rid of these for leaps. Alright, so this is the paging system. Changing stances, which is flipping the page. Also, what you can do is you can assign pages based on a modifier. So let's say if I hit my shift key, I want it to display bar number 4 also. So if I hit my shift key, this is bar number 4, it will show the rens like this. No matter what stance I'm in, it's going to show bar number 4. And you can flip it like that. Let's see, let's move down 5 here. Another thing you can do is you can set up targeting pages. So if I click on an ally, I want it to show bar number 5. So let's test that out. Let's see, let's find somebody. Let's invite them to the party. Come on. Somebody. Spam inviting. Somebody will take it. Is this even working? Huh. I guess that's not working. Sorry about that. Alright. So let's scratch that idea. Let's take that off. Okay. So you get the idea. For my particular setup, I don't have any more a modifier page. So I just disable this like so. Okay. So I have one container with 12 hotkey positions. As we all know, 12 hotkey positions is not enough. So let's go ahead and add 12 more hotkey positions. So I'm going to use bar number 4 to be a container here, and I'm going to make it also a 3x4 because that's what I like. You might like something else, it's up to you. So I'm going to have bar number 4 also paged by stance, which means that I also need 2 other action bars to go with it. And let's just make these the same size to kind of be copacetic. I'm going to hide these later, but it's just helpful to do it this way to set them up. Okay. Alright, so now I'm configuring my container number 4, and I want it to show 4, 5, and 6 based on stance changes. So I go to warrior, and I go battle stance 4, defensive stance 5, berserker stance 6. And you can notice right away that it's automatically setting up based on what stance I'm in. Alright. So that's cool. That's the paging system for stances. So I don't want to see these anymore. I'm just going to hide them, and they're going to go away. I don't see them anymore. But I still get the paging functionality that I want. Alright. Now let's add a third block. Let's go with 7. You can also set this to change pages based on stance. But for my particular setup, I don't do that for this action bar. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'm going to use my bars 8, 9, and 10 for other utility means. Alright, so what am I going to use 8 for? Let's do this. Let's make this 6 buttons. You can change the amount of buttons that it displays. It can be 1 button, it could be 2, it could be 12, it could be 6, whatever you want. Now I'm going to make this 1 column and drag it down in here. Let's see. Bar number 10, I want to be an auxiliary bar. And I want it to be 1 column. Drag it over here. And I'm going to make this a mouse over action bar. What a mouse over action bar is, it's going to hide when you don't have your mouse over it, and it's going to show when you do have your mouse over it. So that is the faded opacity. So if you set your faded opacity to 0, it's going to disappear unless you mouse over it like so. So you can fill this stuff up with professions, mounts, foods, pets, whatever the hell you want. Trinkets, RP stuff, equip sets, anything you want. Just drag that over there and mouse over it when you want to see it. Alright. I'm going to also make this one a mouse over. I'm going to make this 4 buttons. Alright. So 2, 3, 5, and 6 are not going to be shown. They're just hidden, so it doesn't really matter where I drag them to. And 9 is going to be down here. It's going to be faded opacity. Alright. So I've got this set up here. And it changed stances, and it's going to flip. And that is the setup of the configuration. Alright. I've showed you hiding, I've showed you opacity. Let's go ahead and show you guys what Masque does. So right now we have these kind of ugly ass borders around all these buttons, and I don't want to see these. I want it to be more aesthetically pleasing, more crisp, and more clean. So if you download Masque, this is a really great add-on. It has a lot of skins for skinning your buttons. So I'm just going to enable it. Go into the game. You can download additional skins from WoW Interface. They have dozens and dozens of skins you can download for different button effects. But I in particular like a very clean, very crisp, non-flashy kind of button. Alright. Let's get a white background on this. There we go. So as you can see, the gray borders are gone. It's very crisp and square. You can go into the Masque options and you can choose different skins. The one that I have is zoomed. I think by default it comes with Blizzard, and you can change different options in here. It comes with 3: Blizzard, Dream, and Zoomed. I like the zoomed one the best. Alright. So what I want to do now is get rid of the spacing in between these buttons. I don't want there to be any space where I can see through it. I just want everything to be one giant ass block with no spaces in between. So Dominos is actually going to handle that. You have to go back into configure bars and you right click on it, and you want to change what's called the spacing. The spacing is the space between the buttons. So I'm just going to drag this down to 0, and the padding around the actual action bar is set to 1, a little bit smaller, and there you have it. All the spaces are gone. Do this for every single one. Okay. Alright, so that looks a little bit better. There's absolutely no space in between there. Alright, what is next? Let us show you the hotkey system. Oh, first, excuse me, before I do that, I want to make my main action bar a little bit bigger than my other action bars. Because my main action bar is the most important. I don't want to be distracted by kind of alternate action bars compared to my main one. So you can just change the scale here. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller here, a little bit smaller here, a little bit smaller here. Let's go down to 83. Okay. What is this one? This one is 95. Stance buttons 120. These, well, you click on those, so it's not too bad. And they're hidden anyway. Okay, so now my main action bar is going to be just a little bit bigger than my other ones. And that way I'm less distracted by the less important action bars. Okay, next is the hotkey system. So that's this bind keys button right here. And this is the most amazing hotkey system that is out there. It's very easy. All I have to do is mouse over and hit the hotkey. 2. I can also assign multiple hotkeys to the same button very easily. And if you want to clear it or reset it, just mouse over it and hit escape, and they are all cleared. So let me just assign all these hotkeys. You can also do Shift any button, Alt any button, Control any button, whatever you want. I'm just going to do all of these really quickly. It's hard to remember them all. CX. R, Shift R, D, Shift V, Shift X, Shift mouse wheel, F, Shift F, Shift 3, Shift 1. We've got a Shift 2 up here. One more. Oh yeah, F1, F2, F3. Shift mouse, Shift mouse. All right. And that's all you have to do. All the hotkeys are set. All right. So I've got my configuration, I've got my hotkeys. Now all that's left is to assign the actual buttons and abilities. So I'm just going to go through that really quickly, and if you don't want to watch the rest of this, that's fine. It's pretty much the end of the demonstration on how to set up Masque and Dominos and how to really pimp out your action bars to the max. Let's drag off all this fake stuff, and you guys can continue watching if you want, but we're really not going to learn anything else. It's just going to be me assigning my buttons in the right spots, and it is going to take a minute, so I apologize. Make sure to subscribe and continue to look out for these videos in the future. I'll be doing many more of these. Holy crap. I do post on Twitter when I make new stuff, either on YouTube or on the compendium. That is, I believe, my Twitter account is LandSoulWow, so you can hashtag that or @ that or whatever the hell you guys do with that. I'm not really a huge Twitter user. And of course, if you subscribe to YouTube, you won't have to do that. Alright, so let's just knock out some of these buttons. Now there's an actual strategy to doing this. For example, you have stance specific buttons like disarm that can only be used in defensive stance, and that can be paired with an ability that can only be used in battle or berserker. So for example, I put hamstring in battle and berserker on X, and then there's going to be a hole there where hamstring can't go. Like I can't use hamstring in defensive stance. Can't do it. It doesn't make any sense. So there's a hole there, right? There's a hole there. So in that hole, you want to put a stance only ability, and that's what I do. Same thing with intervene, charge, and intercept. They're all stance specific. So I have kind of similar abilities that are either stance specific or movement stuff on the same hotkey. I'll try to go through these quickly here. Let's do one ability at a time. Oh wait, where did that one go? Charge did that. Colossus Smash. It's a macro, that's a macro, that's a macro, that's a macro. That's not a macro. Mortal Strike is a macro, or an Overpower a macro. Retail goes here. Shattering is a macro, Strike's not used. Sweeping Strikes is a here. Here. And I try to organize these by importance. Like all of my main stuff is in my main action bar, and all of the cooldown stuff that I have to monitor cooldowns for are in my main bar. Stuff that's kind of like less important, or that have hotkeys that are memorized, or things without cooldowns, go on the sidebars. Throwdown's a macro. Thunderclap isn't in those stances. Defensive stance, Mortal Strike here. Alright, Fury. Battle Shout. Demo Shout. Zerker H is Canceller, I believe. Yeah. Can't do that there. Challenging. Cleave has a start attack in it. Demo. Rage Regen. heroic leap, set, inner rage, intercept the set, intimidating shout, pummels a macro, rallying cries a macro, reckless a macro. Slam isn't a macro. Victory rush is a macro. Whirlwind is a macro. Disarm. Intervene. Also, revenge here. Shield block there. Macro, macro, sunder. Oops. Taunt. Okay, those are all my abilities. Oh, Dark Flight. Here. Hotkey. Okay. Now for macros. Blade Storm. Sweeping Strikes, no. Blade Storm. Oh, yeah. Camera button, cancel aura, Colossus, Mash. Can't be used there. It's there. Execute, Berserker, Stance, Macro, Hamstring Macro, Hamstring Macro, Shrub Strike Macro. Interrupt macro. Intervene macro. Shift 1. Mortal Strike. Defensive, Mortal Strike, Battle, Stance, Mortal Strike, Berserker Stance, Overpower, Overpower, many macros. Oh, that one doesn't have a macro. Shield block, Shattering Throw, Slam, Targeting macro, Thunderclap, Berserker, Throwdown. Oh. Where's my cleave? Cleave start attack? Alright. Lost my train of thought. Spell reflect shield. Spell reflect shield. Spell reflect shield. Weapon return. Weapon return. Weapon return. Deadly calm. Deadly calm. Deadly calm. As you guys can see, I've got everything pretty much mapped out to a T here. Couple holes we got. Victor Rush. There. I'll make a macro for that. Oops. Ah, yes. Gotta have weapon throw. Bags isn't working, of course. Bags. One bag. Ha. So my potion goes here, and that there. Let's also put up some hidden buttons. Let's put some hidden buttons up there. It's pretty cool. Alright guys, there you have it. That is Dominos and Masque. Obviously I've got some holes in here. I'll have some additional UI elements in here later. But you guys get the general idea. Everything is nice and neat, and I've got all of my actions and my buttons, well, with the exception of throwdown, but usually not PvP spec, but I usually find a spot for that. Again, make sure to subscribe and continue watching these UI workshops. I hope you learned a lot about action bar customization and what you can do. Please use your imagination on this. The sky is the limit as far as organization goes. A lot of players have everything hidden completely, and everything's on hotkeys, so you don't see any buttons at all. So that is it, guys, and come back again to watch the next one. Yeah.